Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be kicking off our coverage of Halo 4 on the next episode. This episode, we're recapping Halo 3, discussing how it stacks up against the other games that we played so far. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Bye-bye, Bungo.
Bye-bye. Thanks for your service.
Have fun with Destiny.
The story so far, I kind of like to do this recap overview. I had a hard time, even harder time with Halo 3 because there's so much that happens. So that one's a little longer, but we've played 5 games. There are 2 left in the mainline series, and then we'll kind of see what happens after that. All right, in Halo Reach, we suited up as Noble 6 and were deployed with a team of Spartans to do everything we could to repel the invading Covenant forces before having to admit defeat and help the Pillar of Autumn escape the planet's glassing. That was from July 24th, 2552 to August 30th, 2552. In Halo CE, we dropped out of slipspace and explored the mysterious Halo ring that Cortana randomly brought us to. As Master Chief, we battled the Covenant, discovered the Flood, and realized we had to destroy the Ring World superweapon in order to save all life in the galaxy. That was from September 19th, 2552 to September 22nd, 2552. In Halo 2, the mystery of the Covenant and their diabolical motivations are finally revealed. Playing as both the Arbiter and Master Chief, we defended Earth, discovered another Halo, fought more Flood, witnessed the downfall of the Covenant, chatted with the Gravemind, teamed up with the betrayed Singhili race to stop Tartarus from firing Delta Halo, and then chased the Prophet of Truth to finish the fight on Earth. Whew! That was from October 20th, 2552 to November 3rd, 2552. We then show up on Earth on November 17th, 2552. And then we have, in the Anniversary Edition, we have a little cutscene with Jameson Locke in the Arbiter, and that happens on October 27th, 2558. So way in the future, and that'll come relevant, well, not till Halo 5. Halo 3 ODST Alpha 9 was deployed to repel the Covenant's surprise invasion of Earth, but their orbital drop went awry. The team was scattered across New Mombasa and had to fight their way back together in order to protect an asset that could have been the key to winning the war. This was on October 20th, 2552 to October 21st, 2552. Then we have some epilogue scenes on November 15th, 2552. That's with Johnson. And then the legendary ending is November 17th, 2552. And that is with Truth kind of checking out the dig site. Now, Halo 3. Master Chief crash landed on Earth and immediately teamed up with Sergeant Johnson and the Arbiter in an attempt to stop Truth from activating the portal to the Ark. However, Truth and the Brute-led Covenant force prevailed and made the jump to Installation 00 just as the Flood re-entered the fray. The UNSC and Singhili made a quick alliance and chased Truth through the portal. On the Ark, Truth captured Johnson, murdered Miranda Keyes, and then activated the Halo array. Chief and the Arbiter stopped the firing sequence with the help of the Flood and then rescued Cortana from the Gravemind on High Charity. Our heroes then use a newly created ring to destroy the Flood, decimate the Ark, and escape with their lives. Well, everybody but Johnson. That was November 17th, 2552 to December 11th, 2552. And our epilogue was on March 3rd, 2553. So just a couple months later. Whew.
That's a lot of stuff.
Good job, Colin.
We've done some things, and hasn't even been a year. I'm looking at these dates. We started July 24th, 2552, and this epilogue was on March 3rd, 2553. So lots and lots is crammed in this little section of the Halo universe. I want to start off talking about just our experience with Halo, and I always write Krista just inside base. I usually write Krista's little intro, but I wanted to have her cover up on this because we've done all Bungie games. This is all the Bungie games, and now we're moving into 343 Zone. So let's talk about kind of how we feel about where they left off and the story that they've told. Granted, we played things out of release order, but in chronological order, so it's a little weird how we did it. But Krista, how do you think, Bungie kind of handed off the mantle or stopped making Halo games? And there was discussion, and 343 was created, and they were going to continue the franchise. But how do you think Bungie did with it's their baby, right?
Yes, it is. I think that this universe had some crazy interesting lore. It still has some crazy interesting lore, but Bungie kind of didn't go deep into their lore, like what happened when 343 got handed off, and thank you for 343 for that. But something fun in the Bungie games was kind of trying to piece together things with such little to no information.
Mm-hmm.
All the games are very unique and very fun in their own way, and they were pretty much pillars of Xbox. I mean, Halo pretty much made Xbox a success. People buy consoles just for Halo. They still buy consoles just for Halo, but I think Bungie did a really good job making a franchise that was not only iconic and fun to play, but also had a deep-seated story that, encourages fans like us to actually open a book and read about a video game. And I think that's one of the few video games that's kind of been able to do that.
Yep.
Some video games have more books than others, but I think Halo has really kind of cemented itself as having some crazy extended lore. And it kind of all starts with Bungie and them calling Eric Nyland and being like, write a book about this game we're making.
Yeah, they the way that they storytell at Bungie is very different, I feel like, from the more recent games.
Yes.
And I feel like some of that was the kind of how the technology was evolving, right? They did those ARGs, and they had like Bungie.org was a place where they posted a bunch of cryptic messages, from different characters within the Halo universe. A lot of those things have fallen off now and are replaced. We'll talk about them in future episodes, but they're replaced with more. They still have some cryptic things here and there, but they're more replaced with like terminals or, collectibles and things like that. But the way that they built this universe, I feel like, was really organic and interesting. And if you grew up or played Halo or were following Halo from the beginning, it was probably a fun little treasure hunt for you along the way. And now for newer fans, it's still a treasure hunt because you have to find out where everything is or was, I guess, and kind of uncover everything. But it's just a little different now because you kind of have the whole story with you now, or the majority of the story, whereas when Bungie was writing it and going through it and making the games, you were making more speculation, and then maybe being proven wrong, or making educated guesses that may be right. So it was just it's interesting to think about. And I came into the franchise later, so I'm more of I'm kind of weeding through everything that was in there to kind of consume it all and piece it together, versus the way that Bungie was doing is they were kind of drip feeding and dropping little hints here and there. And it's I think they did a fantastic job. And it's interesting to see there seems to be a clear divide in the community where, and maybe David, you can kind of expand on this, where like once Bungie games are done, some Halo fans are just all about the Bungie games, and they don't really like what 343 has done. And I think the great thing about our community and our podcast is, we're all about just the lore, so we appreciate everything that's been done. But it seems like there are some people that are just Bungie people.
Yes, there was definitely an element of that to it. I mean, I wasn't a downer on it when the big split happened, because I very much was hearing, and I think I wasn't the only one, that Bungie wanted out. They didn't want to be making Halo. If they don't want to make it, I don't want them making it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of shows. And then you get things like, okay, then maybe the things that they were saying, the ODST only got made because they needed to reach a quota so they could get out of their contract. They needed 3 games, so they made Reach, they made 3, they made ODST to get out and move on. So you definitely get kind of like different vibes by the fact that the last game that they made was Reach as opposed to, and that's the first game in the series, you know. So it's kind of strange in the way those things kind of worked out. Definitely at the time there was like a big kind of holy shit, what are we going to do? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was a big deal when you were leaving, and this was the end of the saga. Like, I mean, just thinking it from Halo 3, you know, the trilogy. I know we played them in a specific order, but like Halo 3 was the wrap up, the finish, the fight of the big ending that everybody hated of Halo 2. Wrapping it all up, Halo 3 had a great story, had a great campaign. Do you know what I mean? It was great. It was so well made for co-op. I mean, they really came into their own with that kind of side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was, I mean, my own feelings on the game. Like Halo 2 was really where I peaked for online play. Like my whole life, the best I ever was Halo 2, playing Xbox Live. When Halo 3 came out, I did not like the multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get on well with the internet. Had changed in between Halo 2 and Halo 3, and
Mm-hmm.
it became a nasty place. You know, all those things that you hear about back then in 2007 of like Call of Duty awfulness of, you know, everyone being terrible to each other.
Yeah.
And that was rife with Halo 3.
Yeah.
So I pretty much, that turned me off playing online games for a very long time.
Was teabagging a thing from CE, or was teabagging a thing that started in, I mean, I would imagine.
That's a great question. I think it was the internet who taught me that, so I want to say it was probably Halo 2. It may have been a thing in CE, but I wouldn't have, not amongst my group of friends, let's say, playing offline.
Yeah.
So I want to say that was a Halo 2 thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the story, the arc, the Bungie split, I mean, it was huge. It was interesting. I know we covered it recently, and something on Evolved where was it Bonnie Ross who came out and said that there was at the time discussions amongst like Microsoft of getting Gearbox to make the next Halo 4 and all that kind of stuff, which is crazy to think about, that like that they weren't doing it internally, that there was actual discussions to have an external company make the next Halo game, or whether or not they were going to make a next Halo game. That was a crazy time. And then obviously before Halo 4 came out, we did get the Halo CE remaster by 343. That was their first game. Yeah. And Certain Infinity made the multiplayer side of that, which was it was a version of Halo Reach. But that remaster, the Halo CE, what's it actually called? Why am I blanking on Anniversary, there we go. Halo CE Anniversary. When that came out, that was one of my favorite games of all time. I freaking loved that remaster. I thought it was beautiful. Oh my god. Getting CE looking like that with achievements, with like, it was so good. Yeah. I loved it. It was beautiful.
Well, especially for you being such a big fan of the original. Yeah.
Big time. I mean, it was one of the game. I would play it every day. I would play something of it all the time. It was just that's how much I loved it. And that was my introduction to 343. I know we're kind of getting a little bit derailed, but I went in super positive on 343 because it was, okay, all the people in Bungie who wanted to make Halo are now doing their own thing to just make Halo. Excellent. That means people who want to make Halo are making it. That made me happy. I was very positive from that side of things. I know I didn't really care about the change in art direction, change in plot. You know what I mean? I loved that it wasn't a trilogy, it became a saga. It was all about the Reclaimers. It was all new. You know what I mean? And then with the making of 343, you got the flood, for lack of a better terminology, of lore, of books, of extra media. That all started to come, and that's where the universe kind of exploded in terms of its content size. So it was huge. So that's kind of where I stand. A very elongated way to answer your question.
Yeah, no, that's good. Very good. So we typically do comparisons, and we may get there, but I want to let's just kind of talk about the highs and lows of the game and kind of see where that takes us. And maybe we don't have to go through all of the categories like we always do. But I guess I'm being a positive guy. Let's start with the highlights of the game. Krista, what are kind of the best parts of Halo 3 for you?
Oh, it's definitely when you get to the Ark. Like, besides Cortana, all of those missions are just so much fun. Like, leading up to that, the game's kind of teaching you everything. It's teaching you about the different enemies. It's setting up the lore. It's setting up this big finale for the story. But once you get to the Ark is when you finally get some kind of, like, the game just is like, here you are. Here's the Ark. Go have fun. Yeah. Here's a bunch of weapons and vehicles. Just shooty, bang, bang, everything. And then we're going to tell you an amazing story along the way. And I think that's probably the best part of Halo 3.
Well, and there's that aspect, but then that's where the majority of the lore happens too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like
That's
you could
when the
sum up the
story-
first part of the game, the first, what was it, 6 levels of the game, where it's Chief crash lands on Earth and they try to defend the portal. Then
Yeah.
they don't do that.
Yeah.
That's about as much as happened. I mean, the Flood show up too, but that's about it. And then there's all the other stuff that I could just kind of read through is from, you know, the Arc Fun Time. David,
Gotta
what's
love
your
Arc Fun Time.
what are your highlights or?
I've Halo CE. Oh,
No.
sorry, Halo 3. I keep saying that. I don't know why.
We can
My
go
brain
back
is-
to
my
Halo
brain's not
CE
working.
if you want.
Oh, someday, Krista. Someday. I want to say I did love the story. It did take me for a ride in terms of like where we were going, what the arc was, going back to the portal on Earth, seeing all that thing. That was cool. I mean, I was a little bit more disappointed at the time that we didn't spend more time in and around Earth, and about like a few things that kind of got glossed over in terms of like what was happening, the differences in time, the time jumps you're never really aware of,
Yeah.
like how long it takes to get places and stuff.
Mhm.
It kind of gets a little bit muddled. I know for a game they just kind of wanted more streamlined, but there's some great. There's just so many great moments. The Forward Unto Dawn coming into atmosphere is probably one of
Yeah.
the highlights for me
Yep.
of the campaign. That's just that seeing that moment happen in gameplay was incredible. The Warthog Run kind of at the end is a great kind of callback to the original. I did like that. I did enjoy it, and that they ended the game in the similar veins. What else was a real kind of highlight? I don't know. That's it. You know what I mean? It was just that kind of stuff. There's a good. Some of the missions are really good, like
Mhm.
all the different vehicles. I mean, there's the mission where you start off. I'm blanking on it now, but it's not the Covenant, but right
The Ark.
before it. It might be the Ark. Yeah, amazing, amazing mission. So good. Those two missions back to back are so
Yeah.
much fun. All the vehicles and it's just great sandboxes, great missions.
I'll say for me the highlight, and I'll make it more general, but it's just the refinement of gameplay. We've been playing all the games in, again, chronological order, but we have played CE 2 and then 3 in basic order, but seeing how well they've brought that gameplay forward and tightened it, and it was good to start with, and they made it even better. There are way more weapons. There's way more things to do. You can still dual wield in Halo 3. All the armor ability. There's additional grenades that you have now. There's all the weapons or all the enemies are here. So like this total package, this game has everything. I feel like this is the, up until now, this is the true Halo experience, because you get really everything thrown at you. And we could talk about Reach, but that's also a little bit different in that conversation. But, this is the culmination, the 1, 2, 3, this is the third game. This is the last Master Chief game. The gameplay just feels so good in Halo 3 to me. And it's kind of a generic answer, but that's the biggest highlight for me. And, obviously we're on a lore podcast and we're covering off on all that fun stuff. And that's the main driver for me in Halo. But I just love good gameplay. I love video games. So this game feels so good. What are kind of the low lights for you, Krista, from Halo 3? I feel like there's really high highs, and then there's some lows that are like, I kind of forgot about these playing again. Like, this kind of sucks. What was bad for you?
Oh, Cortana.
Yeah.
That's about it, honestly. Like, I know the beginning of this game is really slow, but I kind of enjoy starting off at a slower pace and then kind of getting into the game because the payoff's super worth it.
Mhm.
I think the building to the arc and the portal opening is really, really fun, so I don't
Yep.
mind it that much. I also think, like, just us talking about some of the stuff they've changed, mostly around Cortana and how they get her, and the first time you step in a flooded ship and 343 comes up, and just stuff like that. I feel like there was some epic moments that they had to take out because of development reasons, and that makes me really sad.
Yeah, that's interesting. I always love the trivia, and hearing that, especially that Cortana one, was like, oh man.
Yeah.
I know. Imagine that. Just imagine that.
Yeah. Anything besides Cortana that you're not feeling in Halo 3, David?
I think they tried to but failed to bring the pistol back. It's still terrible. It's dual wieldable, so I don't know. I mean, that was another thing. I mean, I was looking forward to one of the things I remember about it's weird the way you look back on the iconic weapon of Master Chief is the assault rifle, but it's terrible. But like for some reason,
it's
still
not.
iconic.
Take that back.
Love it. So
I know. But like they bring it back. They brought it back in 3, and I remember being very excited about that. But it still wasn't all there because it had such a reduced clip size. But they made it more accurate. But it didn't have the same. It had a different kind of range. And like I was happy it was back, but not glad with how it came back. And that was kind of a little bit kind of a bummer. But obviously the BR is still amazing. What else is there really? Nothing really crazy. You got the flamethrower. You know I like that flamethrower.
We're talking about bad stuff.
That's kind of disappointing. I know
The
I'm
bad
talking about
portion.
bad things. What things are kind of popping in my brain? The true pure forms of Flood that shoot at you with machine gun like accuracy and crazy snipers. I know they're in their Cortana mission, but generally on the harder difficulties, those are infuriatingly difficult to fight. I really hate them. Really hate them. Other than that, I kind of already shit on the multiplayer, but that was kind of where I was coming from, you know, on the negatives.
I mean, we've kind of stated our frustrations along the way, so this is kind of like the stuff that comes to mind, right? As we're recapping everything. Low lights for me. The beginning of the game isn't great for me. I've forgotten how slow it was, and not a ton happens lore-wise. But it's still, it's still Halo and still fun. But once you hit that, we've talked about it already. Once you hit the arc, things are real, change, and they open up, and it's just a different feel once you're on the arc. But it was interesting to revisit and just kind of feel like, oh, this isn't as good as I remembered. But then it gets real good. And again, these are all opinions, but that's my opinion on the beginning of the game. Yeah, there's like those little tiny things, like remember those the jackals when you hit them and they kind of like have that animation where if you hit them again, they don't like die right away. Like that's just kind of a constant frustration. And that I felt that more in Halo 3 than in the other games. So there's little nitpicks along the way, but I don't really want to dwell on those because we're recapping this great game, and this is our last Bungie recap. So let's talk about what weapons were your go-to weapons. What are your favorites from? So Halo, we had the flamethrower in ODST, but the Halo flamethrower is brand new. What else is brand new in Halo 3? Is it the Spartan Laser is brand new?
Spartan Laser, the Mauler, the Brute Shot.
Oh yeah, there's lots. There's lots of new stuff.
Brute Shot was in Halo 2.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Brute Shot. Yep, you're right. But the Mauler is new. Any of the new weapons? Like, are any of those your favorite weapons? I mean, it's kind of hard because they're not used very often, especially like the Spartan Laser and the flamethrower. But it sounds like David, you're a flamethrower guy, so.
I'm a flamethrower guy, so I like the flamethrower a lot. The Spartan Laser, there's nothing wrong with it other than the fact that I suck at it. I mean, it's just another sniper, and I'm not great at sniping, so the long kind of charge up times, you have to be pretty accurate. If you get hit, you're going to get knocked out of your scope.
Right.
The weapon is still charging, so you got to kind of hold the charge. You got to be really good at that, and I'm just not. I remember being kind of frustrated trying to get some of the achievements with the Spartan Laser, especially in the multiplayer and stuff like that. So I kind of left me kind of soured of trying to use it and just not being good enough really to use it. Shout out will go to the flame grenades, which are amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
They show up a little bit in this game. I love flame grenades.
They're so
They
good.
probably have a name that isn't flame grenades, but incendiary grenades. What else have we got that's kind of new? I do think the model is only good when you dual wield, and I do that so rarely, and you'd never really do it on the high difficulties. So the weapons like that kind of you ignore them on the higher difficulties are kind of like, ugh, you don't get that much time with them. Do you know what I mean? So,
right.
No, don't really have anything else. Is the hammer in Halo 2? The grab hammer?
No, you don't get to play with it.
In Halo 2?
No, you don't. You see it, but you don't get
is
to
awesome.
use it.
Yeah, the grab hammer is awesome.
Oh yeah, because we've been playing with Grab Hammer for a while now because we played Halo 3 ODST. So
And
I
reach.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and reach. Yeah. Yeah, the Grave Hammer too. So there's like the power weapons that they add. Like for the most part, the smaller weapons, the kind of the everyday use weapons, I guess. Most of those are the same, but they add the variety in the power weapons.
Yes.
Which is very good. Chris, any other highlights on weapons?
I think the BR is still an amazing staple. Even on higher difficulties, I use it all the time. Beam rifle and sniper rifle are also really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're fun to play around with, and they're really good on higher difficulties as well. And shout out to the plasma pistol for getting me through legendary runs. I love you, Boo. We haven't really talked about it, but if you're playing legendary, like a headshot weapon and a plasma pistol is like the go-to in most Halo games. So
it's funny how that weapon and even that weapon combination has been a staple through Halo. I mean, it's a dark horse, that plasma pistol, in terms of its usability and the fact that you will go to it on the highest difficulty of this game.
Only the highest difficulty too. Right. It's so funny.
Yeah. And I can't remember, it may have been this game that added the EMP functionality to it. I don't think that was in Halo 2.
I know it wasn't in Halo 1, but I think it was in Halo...
In Halo 2?
Maybe not for vehicles, I don't remember. But at least for shields.
Yeah, it always knocked out shields, but whenever they added the ability to knock out vehicles...
I think that was Halo 3, yeah.
Oh, that's
so good. It made that weapon so much more usable.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. You know, I kind of already said my piece on gameplay and stuff like that. So, but my go-to weapons are you guys knock my AR. I love having my AR, but the BR is so good. My carbine are good. Power weapons I don't use a ton, other than really the gravity hammer, just because I love that close in your face destruction. But yeah, I mean, we really have the full arsenal at our disposal, other than like the tweaks that they've made which is most apparent to the pistol. I'm sure they made tweaks to the other weapons that someone else cares way more about than I do. But yeah, the weapons in general feel really good. Just there's such good variety, so you can really play through with whatever you want. Let's cover off on just a couple more things. I mean, again, like we have everything now. But what else did they add from a vehicle standpoint? They added the Prowler, and then
the Falcon.
The Falcon was in Reach.
Oh, whatever this one,
Hornet.
the Hornet. Yeah, the Hornet.
The Hornet.
Mm-hmm.
The AA Wraith.
Yeah,
the
AA Wraith.
Yep.
The Air Wraith, yeah.
And the Chopper is new. I mean, we played it in ODST, but technically new.
Chopper's amazing. I like the Chopper. The Prowler is not really usable. I know I did use it in our run through and I had fun doing it, but that's on normal, giving all the Marines power weapons and just kind of like breezing through, but it's not really a usable vehicle otherwise. And it hasn't really appeared in the game since, I don't think.
No.
So like he wouldn't bother with it. It kind of came and went. The Chopper is obviously a staple. It's pretty damn good. The AA Wraith is somewhat usable, I think, in this game. I can't remember. I think there's a way you can kind of glitch your way into it. But I've never
there is.
done it.
You can't do much, but you can do it for fun.
Flying that Hornet's so good, though.
The Hornet's pretty good.
It's the first like usable human vehicle, right? There wasn't one in Halo 2, a human flying vehicle. There wasn't one in Halo 1 or 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
There was not.
It was the first time we've gotten to fly a human vehicle, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, in chronological order, yeah.
I also just think in general, the use of vehicles it's pretty sparing, but it's also very impactful the way they use vehicles. I mean, you get vehicles for these crazy huge moments, and I think using them sparingly was actually probably a good idea, because you get some in the beginning, but you mostly get them during these big battles on the Ark.
Right.
And I really appreciate that.
The Scarab fights. I mean, that's a big thing.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Oh, yeah.
So we fight 4 Scarabs, right? There's 2 one-on-one battles, and then there's and then there's the 2 Scarabs. Yeah.
So we had to fight 4. That's crazy.
Yeah, 4 Scarab battles, which is cool. So those, and again, we've talked about kind of like Halo doesn't really have boss fights, but they're kind of boss fights to fight the Scarabs. It's just cool encounters.
And also, each of those encounters are very different. The first one, you don't really have any power vehicles or anything. The second one, you have a tank. The third one, you get to fight them from the air.
Mm-hmm.
So you have...
They're all different.
It's not like they're reusing the same fight over and over. They give you different tools to kind of come from it from a different angle, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. And I like how by the time you're fighting 2, you kind of know how to take them down.
Yeah.
So you can be creative in how you do that at the end. Scare was very good. Let's see here. Maybe we just talk real briefly about the where things left. So how are we feeling about the end?
Hated it.
Did you?
I hated it.
Really?
It wasn't like, okay, the element I hated was just Master Chief floating in space for such a long time, which was really frustrating for me as a fan. Because I'm like, through these whole years, I'm like, Master Chief's just fucking off in space, just hanging out. We're waiting here to see what's gonna happen next. That was really... But I think the ending in general was beautifully done. I just don't like the caveat of a character just aimlessly floating in space and being like, oh, they might return. I know why they had to do that, because they didn't know if he was going to return, like in real life.
Yeah.
So, but I just don't like that caveat of kind of keeping us in such a strange, and it's not poorly done, but it's kind of meh. It's a very meh cliffhanger from Halo 3, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they do set it up, and they lob the planet at the end. And I'm sure that was part of the Halo, we haven't really talked about the Halo Bible that much, but like there's this plan behind the scenes, and I'm sure it's changed a little bit along the way, but that was part of the plan of the story. But by this time Bungie was kind of done with it, so they at least kind of left it where okay, this is where we think it might go. So here you go.
That is interesting though, that you see that they did plant the seeds for the next game for a company that didn't exist.
Right.
That they were saying that whoever takes this over, this is where you lead off. That they put a breadcrumb in there. Of like where to go from it. Because if it's not there, then you just have Chief floating in space endlessly, which is infuriating.
Yeah, it is.
But at least we did have the knowledge that something was happening, because we knew he was at a planet. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, I can see coming to the franchise late. I can see how it would have been super frustrating.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just like, when are we going to get more? And you probably knew that there was going to be more, but you're just waiting. Kind of like how it feels right now when we're waiting for Infinite. Yeah,
and then we knew Infinite existed. We didn't know Halo 4 existed for a long time, since we didn't find out maybe till 2011 Halo 4 existed. 2010 maybe, but I mean, between that time, it was just radio silence on Master Chief. They finished up with ODST and Reach. And it was like, yeah, this is nice, but where's Master Chief? What's going on with that? Why are we going back in the timeline when we could be going forward? And I mean, from a fan's perspective, we had no idea what Bungie was going through and what Microsoft was going through and the studio changes, because they're not going to say anything to us because they don't know what's going to happen next. But it was just, as a fan, you could feel that something wasn't quite right and stuff was weird. And I think for a couple years, it was just like kind of being in Halo limbo. It was like, there are no books coming out. There are these spin-offs that are good, but aren't really giving us what we need, not really building on much lore or anything like that. And it was just kind of a weird time.
Yeah, I could see that. Anything else to add there, David?
No. She's pretty damn.
All right, well, let's keep this nice and tight, this show, because there's so much goodness coming our way. And in this in-between time, you didn't have games. Well, you didn't have Master Chief games. You still had Halo. But what is kind of next? So there are things to read and there are things to watch. And so we'll just cover up that real quick. So what to read? The Forerunner trilogy. Greg Bear wrote 3 amazing books. Read those. That's going to give you all the history on majority of the history on the Forerunner stuff. More details on what the terminals that were kind of sprinkled throughout, and some of what Krista did. You probably pulled some information, I imagine, from the Forerunner books as you're going through those terminals. But lots of good, deep, heavy sci-fi stuff in there. And then you have the Kilo 5 trilogy, which is more in line with the other Halo books that have been out there, more in line with current universe stuff. And those kind of take place between Halo 3 in Halo 4 timeline, because as we're going to see here, there's going to be a 4-year gap between when Chief and Cortana are actually do stuff again that's in universe. And then you have the Forward Unto Dawn to watch, which tells the story of some characters that are in Halo 4. Anything else that I missed for Halo, like the beginnings of Halo 4 specifically?
I think you're pretty good. I mean, that's about it. That's literally what we got kind of in between this. We got Halo CEA, but that was kind of the big lore that we got. Like 343, you can see when 343 took over, because all these books started coming out, and it was like, oh my god, it's like Christmas. There are 2 trilogies coming out literally at once, because Kilo 5 and Forerunner trilogy pretty much came out at the same time, book by book, which was really cool. It was like, oh, it's like Halo Christmas.
And you also have the CE terminals, which were kind of new at the time, and they kind of added in lore to that game, but also kind of introduced and fleshed out some of the characters in 4 a bit more as well.
That's true. Yep. Those terminals too. And we've already covered those, but those are other things to review along the way. Cool. I guess we should rank quick, and then we'll do community questions. So let's rank. Top of your head, what are you feeling right now, Krista? What's your ranking of the 5 games? Give it to me.
Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo CE, Halo Reach, Halo ODST.
Okay. Wow. All right, David.
I'm always terrible at doing this because I remember. So CE would be number 1. Can't remember what my original number 2 is, but right now I'm kind of feeling like it might be Halo 2. Then I'm gonna go with. I do love 3 kind of. I've just kind of played it, so maybe I don't know.
It's off the top of your head. This is a quick decision.
If you think about it. Because it's amazing. Then 3, then Reach.
Okay.
I don't know if that's correct. It feels wrong.
Okay.
I'm scared. Colin,
I'll have to listen again, but I think I got it. I'm gonna stick with Halo 3. Like, exposed some flaws, but I'm still gonna stick with Halo 3 as my favorite. And then the Halo Reach, it still holds the gameplay is so good, so I'm gonna stick with Halo Reach in the number 2 spot. And then I think it cascades from there, Halo 2, and then ODST, and then CE at the bottom.
Oof.
But again, they're all good games.
They're all. It's so hard. It's like picking your favorite child. It's like, I don't know. It's like picking a candy bar at the store. It's like, oh, Jesus, there's like 3 million of these. How am I going to pick one? Exactly. And eventually you do pick one, but
you do.
It's hard.
It's delicious. But
you always feel sad.
The 5th
one, like I could have gotten that.
Also good.
Yeah.
That 5th candy bar. That what would it be, like the Mr. Good bar? It's still good candy bar. It's not the first one you grab, but it's still a good candy bar.
It's one that you get that you're like, you know what, I haven't had in a while. It's that one.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's do community stuff, and we're gonna get out of here.
Woo!
Community stuff.
We have a community. I can get mine up like right away.
Who wants to do community stuff? Somebody.
I could start.
I remember those guys. They're nice people.
All right. Discord. Admin Colin. Yesterday at 11:29 p.m. said, fill in the blanks. Halo 3 is blank because blankety blankety blank. Question for Mission Debrief, Halo 3 recap. Admin Colin pinned a message to this channel yesterday at 11:29 p.m. Matt Redacted said, Halo 3 is bae because when I was 17 it came out, and it was the first game I really got into playing online with my friends. Very nice. Shipmaster Ratas Fadoom said Halo 3 is even because it's outnumbered 3-1.
Get it.
XC417 says Halo 3 is life because I basically put my whole life into it when I was 13.
Nice.
Redacted 17 says Halo 3 is not really in need of a Halo 2 remaster because it's only because it only being 1 gen old, that doesn't take away from the fact that I really want one, and 343 must do what I say or else I will come back to Washington and blankety blank their blanks.
Ooh,
that's a threat. Mm-hmm. I think that's a call to violence. We gotta call the police.
With admins.
And then Shipmaster says, yes, I'll redacted. So.
Ooh.
Now they're threatening violence, so that's a good time to stop that.
Yep, we're done there.
Is Facebook more civil? Uh-oh.
Yes, Facebook has got nice people.
Okay.
Oh God,
Like the
so
Discord.
aggressive. Stupid Discord. So on Facebook, Colin Perkins, moderator, 19 hours. Fill in the blanks. Halo 3 is blank because blankety blank blank. Question for Mission Debrief Halo 3 recap. Here we go. He has a nice picture of Halo 3 with the beam and the arc. Looks really nice. Nice picture.
There wasn't a picture on
Luke.
Discord.
That's because Discord sucks.
How dare you?
Hello. Luke Ariel says Halo 3 has and always will be the core of what Halo is to me. Because like Colin, I came into the series late, came in right after Halo 3 made its debut. I started only with multiplayer, but eventually did the campaign with my buddy Joe. Hi Joe. I was always typically this weird alien dude. Soon after I became obsessed with the lore, which led me to buy Halo 1 and 2 and eventually every game after they released. Side note, I can't wait to hear Chris and David read Colin's post word for word with all these blankety blanks. No idea what you're calling from.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just
You're
reading
welcome.
what's in the script.
Yes. Taylor Murray, I always find that fascinating. People that start so late and go back. It just seems so weird to me in my brain. But it's cool. Taylor Mordecai, Halo 3 is a great finale to the original trilogy because of some nods to Halo CE and Halo 2. My favorite nod would be when you get Cortana back and she reminds us to keep our head down. That's pretty cool. Halo 3 also had a fantastic line from the supporting characters, like when the shipmaster explains to Lord Hood the true danger of the Flood. That was kind of cool. One infection form.
Kill the entire species.
Krista would do it. Alan Satesh says Halo 3 is dope because of Forge custom games.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that.
No, we didn't. Forge came in Halo 3, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember
It was when it was
dabbling in
shitty
that
and
a
you couldn't
small
like
bit.
fix stuff in the air, so you had to stack things.
Yeah, I never knew what I was doing. I don't build things. But anyway. Jason Skeleton says, Halo 3 is my all-time favorite game because it was my first Halo and made me fall in love with this amazing universe. It's incredible to me. Buddy Cool, I know him. Halo 3 is better because the keyframe animation creates more imaginative scenes with motion capture. Ooh, that's very specific.
Yep, art angle.
Miles. Yeah. James Whitmarsh, Halo 3 is boner fuel because it's amazing soundtrack, gameplay, and memories. Go. Facebook guy's killing it. Jesse says Halo 3 is god tier gaming because it is a culmination of incredible universe 6 years in the making. We get some pretty good responses there.
Man,
Matt,
Facebook won this time. I'm disappointed in my Discord
Facebook always
peeps.
wins. Facebook's amazing. Matthew Blankenship, Halo 3 is a game. Halo 3 is a Halo game because it was made as a direct sequel to Halo 2 by the original developers of Halo. That's probably my favorite. That's pretty funny. That will got me, Matthew. Good job. J Speed has Halo 3 is unforgettable end to an amazing trilogy of games that changed the gaming world for me. Because it tugs at the heartstrings at times and makes you feel pretty badass when you finally finish the Warthog Run. Masterpiece. Well said. And finally, Jesse White just says, "Where it's so easy." And a little meme on there.
Good way to end that.
That's getting a love heart from me. So good job, Facebook. Kicked ass this week.
Very nice. All right, we did it, guys.
We did it, man. Halo 3.
Halo
back.
3. Now we have Halo 4. Oh my gosh.
Everybody wave goodbye to Bungie. Bye, Bungie.
Bye, Bungie. And now we're
Bye.
stopping our Halo series to continue with Bungie to Destiny 1. Hooray! Let's start about the lore about
every
the
episode
Traveler.
is one grimoire.
Read that
card.
grimoire. That's right.
Yeah, we're gonna read every We're reading every grimoire card in chronological order.
Oh, God. All right, that'll do it for our recap of Halo 3. On the next episode, we'll be discussing the prologue and playing the Dawn mission from Halo 4. Weird.
Woo!
Send us
Oh
your
my
thoughts
God.
at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. Until next time, evolve.
Evolved. I can't wait to talk about Master Chief without the cod piece.